What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cool Colas here, and you are now tuning into a new video on my channel. But before we get on to the topic for today, I would love for you to do a few things. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to my channel, hit the share button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications for whenever I come out with new content on this channel. And when you are finished, leave me a comment below. That way I can get back to whatever it is that you had to say to me. So as you can tell from this video, I'm actually not doing this on my camera like I usually do. I had some technical difficulties with it, so I had to use my phone. So I'll probably be using this from here on out until I can kind of get that resolved. But either way, I wanted to get this topic out to you. So I wanted to talk about something that I saw the other day on Instagram. There was this content creator, and I believe his name was Tony Weaver Jr., if I'm not mistaken. And he created a reel recently where he was talking about the concept of blackwashing. And he talked about how it's not a real thing. One of the other things that he also talked about is how, although it's not a real thing, there's this big thing where whenever there's black representation that's shown on TV or on movies, there is a large crowd of racist white nerds who will rant and rave about how much they can't stand the fact that they took a character that was white and turned them black, and how they just don't even like seeing black people in real life. And he was, expressing his frustrations about the situation and how he felt like, if you're a black nerd, you should never allow yourself to feel bad about, any type of black representation, and how you should not listen to basically these racist white nerds who have a lot to say about your face, basically black people being their faces being shown on TV and on movies. So I wanted to kind of give my take on that. Specifically, what I want to talk about is something that a lot of you all probably haven't heard of. And it's this agenda that I see quite often called the playing both sides agenda. And we want to go, real deep into that. But I wanted to kind of tackle my thoughts on what he said in this reel, and then what the playing both sides agenda actually is. So although I understand where the brother is coming from, the one thing that I really want to say is that I think he's missing the big picture. And I think a lot of people miss the big picture when it comes to these types of scenarios, because I've seen this over and over and over again. We've seen it with The Little Mermaid. We've seen it with Starfire on Teen Titans. We've seen it in a lot of different areas. We've seen it with Iris West Allen on The Flash. So what they typically do is they take a white character, they turn them black. Then you have these, again, racist white nerds who will rant and rave about how they're mad that they see a black face. Now, the reality is that that's what most people see, but there is so much more to the picture. The playing both sides narrative entails two different things: that the white supremacist is the puppeteer for all of this. But in this act, they're playing as the oppressor while also playing as the supporter at the same time. So what I mean by that is you have two different sides of the coin. The one side of the coin that people always talk about are the racist white nerds, which are the oppressor in this situation, or the oppressors in the situation. And then on the other side are the people who are the supporters, which would be the white producers. And we need to talk about how they're actually being devious and how people are missing what they're actually doing to black people. So the reality is, and I think a lot of black people need to understand this, is that the white supremacist has no desire to represent you properly. When a lot of these white creators are showing black faces on TVs and in different movies, or taking white characters and turning them black, they have a mission to serve themselves in mind. The first reason, I guess, why they do this is because they know that just like sex sells, so does melanation, which I say all the time. At the end of the day, whenever you put a black face on something, it's going to do very well. Although there has been a myth that has been pushed out for a long time that whenever you see a black face, then that movie or TV show is not actually going to do well. It's the opposite. Think about Black Panther. That shows you how well movies and anything televised does whenever a black face is put on it, or something that black people wanted to see for a very long time. So they know this, right? And so they know that if they can put a black face out there that they will profit. So that's one thing. They know that they're profiting off of the fact that our face is being shown. They also are getting clout. So that's the second thing that you need to understand. When it comes to clout, they know that the controversy itself is actually going to stir up and it's going to just garner a lot of attention, right? They know that if there are a bunch of racist white nerds who are out there and they're talking about how they don't like to see black faces and that type of thing, it's going to call more attention to the product that they created, because then they can come in like some Captain Save-A-Ho white saviors, and they can come in and say, well, we stand with our black actors and actresses. We stand in solidarity, and we do not tolerate any type of racism, and we do not condone any type of racism. So if they say that, it's going to make black people who are enjoying their content think that they are inclusive, they are not racist, and they are people who can be trusted. They almost try to make it seem like they are on the side of black people fighting against these racists who are blatant racists, when in actuality, they are actually being very deceitful. Meanwhile, there's also these blatant racists that are doing what they do. And the reason why it's important for us to know all this is because it really shines a light on the problem of our society. We think that whenever racism happens, it's going to be something that's going to be blatant, something that's going to be in your face. That is the furthest thing from the truth, y'all. Anytime there is any level of racism, it is going to typically in 2024 be covert. It's not going to be in your face. It's going to be with a handshake and a smile. So what I'm getting at is that this supporter in the playing both sides agenda is really a covert racist. So when you look at these producers, they know exactly what they're doing. They know that, if they take a white character and they make them black, they know that they're going to profit off of it. They know they're going to get clout off of it. They also know the turmoil that it's going to give the black actor or actress who goes through this. They know that they're going to go through this controversy where there's going to be racist white nerds out there who are going to say stuff. So they're very aware of all this type of stuff, right? They also, to a certain extent, know that when it comes to portraying black faces, they think that they know there's a level of complacency, especially with the bleak class and with like that kind of black seat at the table class. A lot of them are cool with black representation, even if it's a very basic form of it, right? So what I mean by that is they are cool with creating lazy representation, which is why they choose to swap a white character to black instead of actually just making an original black character. The other thing that they really could do if they really truly supported black people was they could create grants, or they could create or they could give money, basically put money into the hands of black creators and black people who want to tell their own stories and be able to do things on their own accord. But instead, what they do is they take black people's faces and they profit off of it so that they can continue to succeed instead of making their own lore based off of their own cultures. But they really don't want to do that anymore. They want to profit off of diversity because they know that there's a big way for people to be able to see diverse faces in different spaces. So I'm saying all this to say that we can't miss the big picture here, which is that these racist, blatantly racist white nerds are a problem, but so are the producers who put out a lot of content with black people that, again, was very lazy. And I think that that's also problematic, too, because it shines a light on a much bigger problem, which is that we try to focus on the little details and the things that are in our faces versus the big picture of the way that everything runs. Another thing that we need to kind of understand and we need to talk about is the claims of blackwashing and my thoughts on it. So I'm kind of like the brother where I feel like blackwashing isn't really a thing. I think it falls into the lines of, when we talk about racism. A lot of the white supremacists out there, speculated white supremacists out there, will make the claim that there's a such thing as reverse racism to make it seem like there is a all oppressive system that black people can run, create, and control where they can oppress white people as a whole. And that's not a thing in a system of white supremacy. So blackwashing kind of makes it seem that same way because We all know about whitewashing, right? We all know about the idea of taking something that was originally black and then white people trying to dilute it and put their own spin on it and trying to just make it just about white culture and their own thing, trying to make it seem like it was something that was bred from them. We all know about whitewashing something that was originally black. But they try to use the term blackwashing to do the opposite, to make it seem like there's something that was originally white and there's an all oppressive black system that is trying to take that that white product and deceitfully make it black. That's not really a thing. And the main reason why that's not a thing that we really need to tackle is the fact that we need to look at who is the person who is responsible for this so-called blackwashing. What tends to happen is that black people get blamed for blackwashing, when in actuality, they are actually white creators who are showing these different images and race swapping this white character to black. So in other words, black people get blamed for something that white people actually do. So that's another thing that really happens there. And what's actually very funny and ironic about that as well, too, is that when it comes to all of this race swapping and all this other shit, a lot of times it's like a reverse repackaging narrative. And let me explain what I mean by that. A lot of times the white supremacists will scout things from black culture and then turn it into their own lore and content. And usually it's in the form of a white character. And then they repackage it and they send it out to you in the form of whatever TV show or movie that they're creating. So, for example, a lot of comics, they have superhero and superheroine characters who they were created originally from, something that was related to black people. And they turned them white and then they gave them to you. So look at characters like, for example, Superman. Superman has so many origins and things about him that have been scalped from black culture. We got the thing with Jesse Owens, where he was a famous black American Olympic runner, and how they based the Superman character off of him. The fact that, the S on his chest, it looks like an upside down pyramid with a snake in the middle. He has a Hebrew name in Kal-El. And then the god on his planet called Ra is kind of similar to the Egyptian god Ra. So I could keep going on and on. But basically they made this white boy who is super powered and he gets his power from the sun. And if you really look at the true history, or the present, when it comes to white people, when you look at the truth, they burn in the sun, right? They definitely need sunscreen, which is really synthetic melanation, in order to be able to survive the rays of the sun. But somehow Clark Kent is powered by it, although he is not really melanated. That doesn't really make any sense. So I think the point I'm trying to make there is that you have this character that already had origins of blackness scalped, and then he was turned white. And then sometimes what they do is they turn that character black later. So that's why you got characters like Calvin Ellis, who's supposed to be a black Superman. So that's what I mean by a lot of times, even with these race swaps, it was already scalped from black culture. They turned it white and they turned it back black again. So that's what I find that they typically do. And when you as a black person do not know your culture, then you'll fall prey to wanting to just see any type of representation. And I'm here to tell you that you do not have to do that. So I say all this to say that we need to really get out of this seat at the table bullshit. We need to create our own stuff. And we need to stop begging and hoping for proper representation from the dominant society. So I say all this to basically say we need to look at the playing both sides agenda whenever we see a big uproar about a black character who was originally white being portrayed. We need to look at all sides of the board. So in other words, what I'm basically saying to you is, if somebody gives you a map of the entire world with all the continents on it, don't just look at Europe. Look at every single continent. That's all I'm trying to say, y'all. That's it. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. I will have more to come, so make sure that you stay tuned. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the topic, and I will talk to you later. Peace.